Good morning, everyone. I'm Greg Stanton, proud mayor of the City of Phoenix here today, and today we can officially say purple is our favorite color. Look at these guys. And the city council and staff and professionals and volunteers were wearing purple all this month for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We're having a little fun with this issue, but it is a serious issue. The reason why the City of Phoenix is doing this is because we know that domestic violence, unfortunately, still affects way, way too many people in our city, in our valley, and our state. And we're trying to make sure that any preconceived notions about this terrible issue is no longer allowed, because domestic violence affects everyone. It affects every neighborhood in our city, no matter what part of the city you live in, no matter your socioeconomic class, no matter where you work. Domestic violence affects everyone. And that is why everyone needs to participate in our Paint Phoenix Purple campaign, to raise awareness of this terrible issue and to come up with innovative solutions. We know that domestic violence affects not just the victims, but it does affect the victims tremendously. It affects their families, their children, their parents, their friends, their co-workers, the incredible number of lost work hours because of this terrible issue. It affects children not only immediately, but throughout the rest of their lives. We must stamp out domestic violence in our city and in our community. And last December, our city council unanimously came together and agreed that domestic violence must be a top priority as a policy issue for this city. We challenged our city manager and city management and his staff to do more on this issue, to form a multidisciplinary and diverse work group of community leaders, city staff, to develop a plan to assure our community was doing everything it can to stop domestic violence. Our call was a call for innovative thinking, bold solutions, and the development of new resources. And yes, during a very tough budget time for the City of Phoenix, our council unanimously stepped forward to put significant new resources into ending domestic violence in our city. And our city staff, the professionals here at the city, and the community as a whole stepped forward in a big way as a result of the challenge issued by our city council. They rolled up their sleeves and they got to work, and they presented a plan, a great plan, a plan called A Roadmap to Excellence, a bold, comprehensive plan that will allow Phoenix to be a national leader in the fight against domestic violence. And I want to say, as mayor of the city, I want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who has taken this task as seriously as you have and gotten to work and helped put together this excellent plan. I want to say thank you to every single member of my city council. This was a unanimous support of this city council. Many of my council members are here, and I want to personally say thank you to them. Councilwoman Thelda Williams, Councilman Tom Simplot, Councilman Jim Waring, Councilman Danny Valenzuela, who you'll hear from in a few moments. As mayor, I get to say I am proud of my city council for what they have done. I want to say thank you to the Arizona Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Allie Bones is here with us today. Allie, good to see you. You look great in purple.
Well, thank you.
She and her staff have provided constant leadership and inspiring commitment towards this important cause. We would not be here today without the polite prodding, encouragement, and sometimes swift kick when necessary from our friends at the O'Connor House. And I want to say thank you to our friend Lucia Faconis Howard and Kim Sterling. Thank you for what you've already done for this city and what you will continue to do, and those will continue occasional kicks when we need it. Lucia, your work is very, very much appreciated. Our city management stepped forward. They didn't just accept this challenge, they embraced this challenge. Our recently departed city manager, David Cavazos, our new acting city manager, former assistant city manager, Ed Zerker. You and your team have been outstanding throughout this process. And our city staff, all 14,000 of them have embraced this. Because if we're going to be successful, we can't just be telling others what to do. We need to be looking in the mirror and saying how we as an organization can be model employer and have model employees if we're going to end domestic violence in our city. And most of the people up here today wearing looking so beautiful in purple are city employees. We very, very much appreciate you and your good work on this critical issue. Today we are demonstrating our commitment to the first pillar of this plan, awareness. It is critical that we raise awareness of domestic violence. We raise it that it's not just a problem in some parts of our city. It's not just a problem in some parts of the community. It's an issue that all of us have to come to terms with because it affects all of us. So that's why during this month of October, you're seeing us all wear purple. We are painting Phoenix purple during the month of October. Purple ribbons, purple clothing, bracelets, landscape lighting, domestic violence trainings, newsletter articles, public service announcements, and so much more. So I encourage every citizen who wants to participate in this campaign, you can paint Phoenix purple too. We have a Facebook page, we have a Twitter handle. Hashtag Paint Phoenix Purple is the hashtag on Twitter. October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and today marks a statewide call for awareness, and we have some very special people here to help us make this call. Now, there's a very special person that I have not introduced yet because we wanted to give her a very, very special introduction. I mentioned the O'Connor House earlier for a reason. The O'Connor House is a very, very special institution in our state, bringing together civic leaders in a bipartisan way. We could use a lot more of that in Washington right now, couldn't we? Bringing together leaders in our state in bipartisan way to come up with serious solutions to important statewide issues. The O'Connor House is critical in this process, and it's named after a national treasure, Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. Even in retirement, Justice O'Connor continues to contribute to the civility and constructive public policy debate. Through her leadership at the O'Connor House, which she founded, thousands of Arizona citizens have learned to become more involved in their government, more involved in their future. And through the Avon Program for Women and Justice O'Connor House, our community has benefited from the attention that this powerful group of men and women have drawn to the causes of domestic violence and child trafficking. And I might politely suggest, in my humble opinion, the most important woman in American history, and that is our Arizonan, Justice Sandra Day O'Connor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. It's special to be here today with the City Council and with city officials and with Mayor Stanton, and you've undertaken a very big but important project in trying to improve the situation for those affected and injured by domestic violence. And it's sad that we have the problem. One wonders why we do, but we do, and it's pretty serious. And the work that you will put in to help solve it is so welcome and so appreciated. And this city is a great city, and thank you for putting your muscle behind correcting this problem. There are a few other problems we might mention as time goes on, so don't cut us off here. But thank you so much, and I'm going to wear my purple for quite a while. And thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Justice O'Connor, for taking the time, for being here, your leadership on so many issues in our American history and modern American history, and for making this issue, ending domestic violence, a personal priority and a priority for the O'Connor House. I should also mention we have an additional council member who has arrived. Again, this was a unanimous vote of our city council to support additional resources and putting together an outstanding plan and to really challenge ourselves. Councilman Mike Johnson is here. Thank you for being here, Councilman Johnson. A lighter shade of purple on that tie, but purple nonetheless. It looks good. All right, good. And so representing the City Council here today is the chair of our subcommittee on neighborhoods and I mentioned earlier that the city made a commitment for additional resources. Originally, there was a plan for $100,000 of additional resources, but the city council decided that wasn't enough, and they doubled it, up to $200,000 of new resources. And what was beautiful is originally we thought we were going to put out an RFP, which is sort of a competitive process, getting the various wonderful domestic violence nonprofits to compete against each other for that $200,000. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. Our wonderful domestic violence organizations, those nonprofits that work directly with victims of domestic violence, provide them housing and services so they get back on the feet and break this cycle of domestic violence, they came together as a team, and they applied for the money together. And it was a really, really beautiful thing. And that was really the brainchild of our next speaker, the councilman representing District 5, Councilman Daniel Valenzuela. Councilman.
Very exciting event. Very, very excited to have you, Justice O'Connor, and everyone else who was here. And we added that for a little drama. In the first half of 2013, the National Domestic Violence Hotline documented 1,985 calls for service from Arizona. 41% of those calls from right here in Phoenix. In fact, Arizona as a state ranks 8th in terms of calls for service, and that is why my colleagues and I, all of us, as the mayor mentioned, unanimously helped to lead the city's commitment in addressing this issue, but not only increasing funding to end domestic violence, but to raise awareness around this issue. As was noted, when we approved the city's roadmap to excellence, the scope of this problem goes well beyond what the city of Phoenix can do alone. This campaign would not be a success without the many partners who have participated, and I'd like to mention and publicly acknowledge some of those partners today. We'll begin with Brian Mueller, President and CEO of Grand Canyon University. Mr. Mueller and the other leaders of GCU are committed to ending domestic violence by implementing an online module containing domestic violence information. All incoming classes and employees must go through that course. Please give him a round of applause. Dr. Kent Scribner, Superintendent of the Phoenix Union High School District, and Cynthia Tercero, dropout programs developer for the district. Schools in the district have done art contests, flash mobs, decorating doors, youth town halls, and implemented an In Her Shoes domestic violence curriculum. Please give him and his team a round of applause. Thank you, Dr. Scribner. Susie Peel, Real Estate Development Manager for Circle K Stores. Circle K put up 600 domestic violence posters in their stores and is looking to become a safe place for assistance. Please give Susie and Circle K a round of applause. Ronald Wested, President and CEO of Arizona Federal Credit Union, who's posting the commitment to act in their branch offices and they also encourage their employees to wear purple to raise awareness. Please give him a round of applause. Greg Roberts from Popalock, offering free purple keys here today and provides home rekeying services for half price to victims of domestic violence. Also in attendance, and every one of these people deserve a round of applause, Sue Cater, Special Assistant to the Chancellor Maricopa Community Colleges, Bobby Sudbury, Katie's Way, Lisa Urias, President and CEO of Urias Communications, Kelly Day, Assistant to Carol Parker, Ballard Spar, LLP, excuse me, and of course Sue Glah, Vice President, Community Relations, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Arizona. Please give them a round of applause. All of these organizations, along with the City of Phoenix and all of our partners, we are all painting Phoenix purple to demonstrate our commitment to end domestic violence. To date, more than 60 organizations have joined us in our efforts to end abuse in our community, and I thank every one of them for their efforts. We all do. This represents the beginning of the culture change, which is at the heart of the city's plan. The plan envisions a community where domestic violence is no longer tolerated. I want to thank you, and now I'd like to ask Mayor Stanton to come on up and highlight another effort to raise awareness. Thank you all, and God bless.
Thank you, Councilman Valenzuela. By the way, Councilman Valenzuela is a firefighter in his day job, and as a firefighter, public safety officer, unfortunately, our public safety officials get called out way, way too often on domestic violence calls, and it is one of the most dangerous calls that police and firefighters have to deal with in their lives. Thank you for your service, Councilman Valenzuela. Before I talk about the art project, if there's one thing I've learned in my time in public office, and that is when Thelda Williams wants to say a word, you let her. It's always good. And so she has been a great leader on this issue, a long-standing leader in her multiple terms of service on the City Council. And I'd like to bring to the podium next Councilwoman Thelda Williams.
I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone who's participated to date. It takes a lot of teamwork. It takes a lot of effort to take on a challenge like this, because there isn't a family in this probably country that hasn't had an impact from some member of them having domestic violence, where it's a man or a woman. But it takes more. This is just the very beginning. We're just raising the awareness. We've set some things in place, but we've got at least a 5-year plan, if not more. And it's going to take each one of you to get involved, because if you get involved and we stay involved, we can change this. We can stop domestic violence. But each of us has to take on a personal responsibility to become aware, to know how to inform anyone who's a victim, where to go, how to get emergency services, and what's out there, and stand and support them through the process, because sometimes it can take a long time to convince them to get out of that situation. But if we each get involved, we can change this. So I'm challenging all of you to say, today's number one. I have at least a year to go for a personal commitment to be involved and challenge you to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Williams. And I do want to thank our education leaders that are here. Ken Scribner, who was mentioned earlier, superintendent. You have some great artists in your school. Brian Mueller, president of Grand Canyon University. Grand Canyon is so committed to this issue, they've agreed to wear purple year-round. So all right. As you may have heard this morning, our goal is to create a culture change where domestic violence is no longer tolerated. And of course, if you're going to really create a culture change in your society, you have to begin with and be constantly in partnership with our youth. The best way to break the cycle is to educate our city's future leaders. Our great partner, Phoenix Union High School District, has been outstanding. Schools in that district are holding youth town halls, performing flash mobs. I want to go on one of those, by the way. And developing curricula to educate their students. And the Phoenix Union High School District also held an art contest addressing domestic violence and promoting healthy teen relationships. Cindy Tercero, Dropout Prevention Coordinator for the district, coordinated the 16 schools in the district who participated in the contest. The Phoenix Art Commission provided $1,000 for the winners of the art contest for prizes and for framing the great artwork, the beautiful artwork you see here displayed. Dozens and dozens of pieces were submitted. I want to personally thank every single artist who took the time to participate in this important art contest. And now it's time to name the winners. Drum roll, please. Our third place winner is Thomas Salcido. Thomas, are you here? Come on. Thomas is a student at Chavez High School and also said that they wear purple year-round. So here we go. We're developing a theme here. Our second place winner is Wendy Fallion. Fallion, are you here? Good to see you. Congratulations. The pride of Trevor Brown there. That's great. And it's Falcon. I apologize. Thank you for correcting me. And our first place winner. Now we need a real drum roll. Roland Chi. He gets a certificate for $300. Come on forward, Roland. All right, good. The pride of Camelback High School there. Congratulations. You got talented kids in that district. That's awesome. All of the artwork is displayed in the atrium of City Hall, and we get a ton of traffic here in the atrium for the rest of this month, and will be featured during the First Fridays next month. And we get tens of thousands of people out for First Fridays after every year. I would also like to introduce Allie Bones, the Executive Director of the Arizona Coalition Against Domestic Violence, to give her a chance to say a few words about this important program. Allie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and the City Council members who have put so much support towards this very impressive and inspiring and comprehensive plan. The Coalition Against Domestic Violence is a statewide organization that aims to raise awareness and do systems advocacy and education on the issue of domestic violence. And we have been a proud partner of the Paint Phoenix Purple and the Roadmap to Excellence campaign that you are hearing about today. It is so important to get large employers like the City of Phoenix and folks who have a bully pulpit to talk about the issue of domestic violence, to share how important it is that we all address this issue. And what we have been so excited about, I get asked often, what makes this so different, this effort that the City of Phoenix has been involved in different than what other times in the city there have been efforts to do it, or other parts of the state or country that have had efforts to address domestic violence? What makes this so different? And I have to say that it has been the comprehensive nature of this plan. All of the partners that have been invited to be a part of it and who have all come together to be a part of this plan, how it addresses every single different aspect of how the city can impact domestic violence, from raising public awareness to educating their employees, to changing how systems respond to domestic violence like law enforcement and prosecution and the courts, to talking about how we can involve faith community and employers and educators in this effort to address domestic violence. And I have to say, the challenge that was put forth to the City of Phoenix to ask their employees to engage and be a part of Paint Phoenix Purple this October in this plan has been absolutely incredible. To see every single department led from the amazing Human Services Department. I have to give them amazing props. They've been incredible. They put out a challenge to every city department to see how they were going to participate in Painting Phoenix Purple, and every department came forward with amazing, innovative ideas and ways to paint this town purple. And I feel like this month you really can't go anywhere in this city without seeing purple. And for someone who works on a daily basis to try to raise awareness of domestic violence and talk about how we as a community are going to get to that culture shift and end this horrible issue, it has been wonderful to be in partnership with all of you. So I am very proud to be here, and thank you all for your support, and look forward to continuing to work past October on this long-term plan to bring culture change to the City of Phoenix and beyond. And with that, I am thrilled to invite to the podium an amazing woman, a courageous survivor, someone who I have grown to know and respect for her willingness to speak out and share her story about how she overcame domestic violence and has gone on to inspire so many people in the community about this issue. Celeste.
Thank you, Allie. I am very honored and humbled to be amongst such esteemed people this morning. I was 19 when I entered into a relationship with a man who, over time, nearly took from me everything that I loved and convinced me that the world would be a better place if I were not in it. I lived with him for 9 years, and I left with my 4-year-old son while I was 4 months pregnant with my daughter. Over the course of the relationship, I underwent verbal, sexual, and physical abuse. My life was permeated by this man who was determined to control and smother me, to break my spirit, and to drain me of the love that I had for myself and for my life. I often hear people blame victims of domestic violence, asking why they don't leave these relationships. There's a misconception that domestic violence is mutual, with both parties equally responsible and equally engaged. Some people think that if a victim doesn't leave, she must want what she's getting from her partner, and there's no reason to feel bad for her or to do anything about it. Others think that it isn't their business to get involved. It's imperative, though, that people stand by victims of domestic violence, so they are believed and supported, and so they have a place to turn when they need it. Victims are not ready to get out of these situations and end these relationships until they decide that they are. Some never leave for a variety of reasons, but find ways to cope and survive within them. For me, I left when I ran out of hope and stopped thinking that someday it would get better. I realized that there was no right thing that I could ever do to make everything good. Up until that point, if anyone would have told me I should go, it wouldn't have mattered. No one understood how deeply entrenched I was and could not talk to me in a way that reached through the brainwashing and through my own determination to do what I thought was the right thing and make my relationship work. To answer the question, why didn't I just leave? I stayed because I felt responsible for what was happening. I believed that I needed to be a better person, that I needed to be stronger, that I needed to be nicer, that I needed to change. We're all told that relationships take work and are not easy, and that's true when both parties are rational people. But when someone has power and control over another, there is an abuser and there is a victim. It's been said that a victim will leave and go back to an abuser an average of 7 to 9 times before leaving for good. Helping a victim as she leaves and returns, perhaps several times, can be exhausting and disheartening. But please find a way to still be there for her. It can be a difficult thing to understand, but ultimatums won't work. Threatening to take her kids away or call the police won't work. Those things will only lead her to not trust you. Be there for her so she can cry and yell and be patient, because she will have you to turn to when she is ready to go. Let her know that she has an ally in you, and let her make her own decisions about what she's going to do. For anyone who is experiencing domestic violence, please know that there is a vast community of people who have come through this and are on the other side of this horrific experience, whether you leave the relationship or find a way to be more safe while you stay. I used to live in a small town, and I walked my dog every night, often for hours, in a way to ensure that when I went home, my abuser would be asleep and I would have some peace. I used to look in the windows of the houses in my neighborhood and wonder about the people inside. I imagined mothers who were free to have neighbors over for coffee, young children who went to preschool, and homes that were full of love and honesty and kindness. I wanted those things for myself, and I didn't have them. Wanting something different, something healthy and happy for myself and my children, is what I clung to as I escaped. Through my doubts and my fears, it was that vision of myself living the life that I wanted that kept me strong. We need to believe in each other and work as a community to be supportive and to put an end to the devastating reality of domestic violence that affects so many of us. Thank you.
Lester, great. Thank you, Celeste, for sharing that powerful story and that great advice for others going in the same circumstances. Your courage is inspiring. So that does it for the formal presentation as part of this press event. Again, as mayor, thank you to this council. Unanimously come together this issue. Thank you for our professional city staff. Thank you for our partners. Justice O'Connor, again, it's an honor that you are here and have taken the time to make this a priority issue. The Coalition Against Domestic Violence, the faith community, the nonprofit community. We're going to stamp out domestic violence in our city, and it's going to be done as a team effort.